Hello, this is Cris Duncan at Find Your Focus Photographic Education, and today I'm going to be showing you a quick video on how I created this image. This was a multiple step process. Most of it was done in camera, and then we finished it off using Adobe Lightroom and Photoshop. So I just want to kind of give you the background to this. This was shot about 11 a.m. in the morning in North Carolina. Here is the kind of light we had there. You can see she's kind of in open shade of this building, but it's bright and sunny. Like I said, 11 a.m. So to create this look, I photographed her like this. I had my beautiful bride Deanna hold our ProPhoto B2, the little 2-foot octabox with the grid. Now position the grid just so that it would appear that the light is coming from this lamp. I wanted it coming straight down under her head, a smaller source, and just where it barely covered the ground down here and highlighted the mask of her face really well. I knew if this lamp was on, we wouldn't get a lot of light out of it or a big spread, and the quality of that light would be a little bit harder due to the fact that it's a smaller source. So I chose my modifier and light direction to help match that. Now I had to take what we call a clean shot, which is on a tripod. After I've finished getting the capture and the expression I want for my model, I take an image without Deanna in or without the light in it. And then I merge those two together to get something like this, and then I'll finish it off. So let's do that right now. I've done a clean shot video before, but I'm going to go ahead and just show you how that is. You'll select both of these in Lightroom, and you will open in Photoshop CC or CS6, whatever program you're using, to open those files. And this is why I recommend working on a tripod when these open. It just gives me so much more flexibility, and I don't have to compromise on my lighting or change my composition or anything like that. And it's just such a simple process. So here's the clean shot. I'm going to get my move tool and I'm just going to drag it on top of the one I want, like that. Okay, going to duplicate my background layer, select both, and then in the top hand corner I'm going to hit auto align layers and click OK, and it should auto align these. Now I do have another video just on the clean shot. I know I'm going through this quick. If you want to review that, I will put a black mask on it, so I need a white brush. Correct, 100% opacity, select my brush tool. I'm going to raise that up to 100%. I could hit 0 to do that. And I want to make sure I have a soft edge brush. And I'm just going to brush out where Deanna was. And so now I can put a little bit of a thing on the ground there. Ah, it's nice. So now I've got this nice image with my model in it. It's not quite nighttime yet, but we're going to get to that. So that's easy as that for the clean shot. So let's flatten, and let's just go ahead and save that, and it'll go back into Lightroom. And I don't need to save my clean shot. I don't want a duplicate of that. So here we are in Lightroom. Okay, now we need to turn the light on. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select a gradient filter, and I have one that's called Burn Edge. Just the burn would work too. And I'm just going to drag that over the top just to take down some of the intensity on those trees. Play with that exposure a little bit. Bring those highlights down. Make sure my shadows are down. And maybe put a little more black in it so I can kind of get that night sky. And then I'm going to take my temperature to blue, because it should be a little bit cooler, because it's supposed to be midnight. Look there, right? And you can just play with this and see what feels best to you. You know, if it's a full moon, you'll get a little bit of light, so it won't be completely dark back there. So I'm going to pull that gradient just a little bit more. There we go. And now with Lightroom CC, if I can click brush and option, and then just take that gradient off of her real easily. Okay, so that's one step. Now I want to select my brush, and I have a brush I created called Lamps. Key thing is the temperature is very warm. The exposure is up about 0.33. Highlights are up, shadows are up. My saturation is a little higher. And the key is on the color, on your brush palette, where it says color, click that, and then select a color that you think is warm enough for a lamp. And I want to make my brush just a little smaller. And I am just going to paint this brush in. Oh, I'm not seeing it. Might have to do Let's bring my flow up a little bit more. And let's keep painting. It's coming in through slow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my gradient mask. Click Edit. So I'm editing this gradient mask, and then go to Brush. And let's take it off the lamp. I think that's part of the problem. There we go. I'm just taking that gradient mask off the brush. Now I can see my lamp coming through it. So now I'll go back to Brush and keep working on my brush there. So I can just bring that color in as much as I want. If I need to erase some, I just hold the Option key to do that. Okay. Now I'm going to make my brush a little larger, bring the flow down. That's too big. And feather it just a little bit more. And let's bring the flow down a little bit more. And I'm just going to brush so I get a little bit of warmth coming down that thing and then on my model. Right there. So see, I'm warming her up. I'm going to hit that ground in front of her. Let's turn that brush on and off. You can see how we did that. All within Lightroom. Very easy. I think it was too much on her, so I'm going to just minus a little bit from her. Not too much, just a tad. Okay. So now I think we're in a good spot turning that on and off. And that's really it. You could really stop there. I do want to go ahead and crop this and straighten it up just a tad. Crop some of those blend lines off of there. Get a little tighter, those flowers on the edge. Okay, I like that. Now if you really want to make this look like that nighttime look, there's one more step, and that would be to open it up in Color Effects Pro 4, which is part of the Google Suite. It is now free. If you wish to do that, you can get all 6 of their products for free, and it's a great plug-in for Photoshop and Lightroom. So while that's opening, just to review, did my clean shot. Made sure I lit it to make it look believable. Did the clean shot, and then used my gradient tools and my brush tools in Lightroom to put the light in the post and just to create a little darker background. Now I'm going to go into the midnight filter of Color Effects Pro 4 when it opens here, and hopefully, there we go. Let me bring this window in smaller so you can see it. There it is. I'm going to use the midnight filter. So the midnight makes it really dark. Now that's a little too much. I'm going to go and make it blue because midnight will be blue. And I like to bring my opacity of this down to probably about 50%. And then I can use minus control points within the interface that take off the effects of at certain areas. And so I'll take it off of her dress, I want a little bit on her leg, on the ground, but I don't want it quiet, so then I can opacity slide just this control point right there, and I think we're looking good there. Let's do a side-by-side comparison. So see just how it darkened it up. So now I've got this nice, believable look to that. Excellent. And when we're done with this, we can just say OK and save it, and it'll go back to Lightroom with those adjustments. Now, one thing I failed to mention is so this is our finished image, right? And I showed you that this was the daylight look. I used a neutral density filter on my lens. It was a 7-stop, well, it's actually a 2 to 8 stop variable density filter. I think I had it probably around 5.5 stops. When I metered the light in this position, when Deanna was there to light our subject Taylor, when I metered this, it metered f22 at her face. But since I had that filter on there, I had to count down to 5 stops. So from 22 to 16, 11, 8, 5, 6, and 4. That's 5 stops. And on my metadata up here, we can look. I photographed this at ISO 1200, 40th of a second at f4. And I played with a couple different densities of this. Here's another one. I played with a few more densities just to make it a little bit darker to see which one I really liked. And I landed on the one that we worked on today. So once again, this is Cris Duncan at Find Your Focus Photographic Education. I thank you for joining us so much today on how we made the day look like night in camera and with a few simple adjustments in Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Lightroom. Thanks again for watching, and happy creating.